How do I bring up an STD? This is something that is being talked about on the TSL call right now. Actually, the Men's Development Excellence call happening right now on June 14th, 2017 at 10:40 p.m. So this is actually our third video of the night. If you're interested in what we do here, you can find out more about it at the link down below. You click the free stuff link down below. You can find out about our Daily Awesome podcast, our Sexual Life podcast, and we put about 10 of these out a week. It's a running dialogue, and it's where all this stuff is recorded. Basically, guys ask questions like this. We've been talking about this for over an hour about just our different experiences with STDs and so on, and bringing it up. And man, it's a crazy thing, but it's awesome. It's awesome. What we do here and how we work on ourselves is, number one, it's a special kind of man that does that, that's focused on themselves in that way. And what's so crazy is throughout the week, we get on calls like this all the time. And it's awesome. You can find out more about that. That's a paid program, our Men's Development Excellence program, or our TSL Online program. But if you just want to be on our free groups, check it out. Free stuff link down below. Podcasts, PDFs, challenges, videos, all sorts of work things to get involved and really change yourself. And that's what we do, man. We're a coaching business, and that's like, we coach people, and you can learn a lot. So how do we bring up STDs now? About a year and a half ago, I made a video about this, which was really relevant because one of our guys in the group got an STD that was curable by antibiotics, which a lot of them are. And he went around and called everybody. Now, a lot of guys don't do this. In fact, that takes some fucking balls. So I was amazed. And so he's sitting there with me at a cafe telling me about this. And he's like, man, I made like 20 calls to all these girls that I had sex with throughout the year. And some of them ended bad, but I made the call. It was fucking crazy, right? So then he goes, man, like 3 of them now want to meet up. It's like, hey, I got, I forget what it was, like gonorrhea or something, or chlamydia. And, I know we had a sexual relationship and we haven't really talked since, but I don't know how I got it. I don't know when I got it. And so maybe you should get checked out. So 3 of those girls or something, I remember him saying like, man, they wanted to hang out. They wanted to fuck me. It's crazy. It like rekindled something. It almost made them desire me more, which is what everybody fears. And I was like, man, dude, totally. So as you guys may know who listen to this podcast, my first sexual experience was with a girl who ended up getting kidnapped and then raped after we'd had sex like 5 times. And we got all these STDs. She got STDs, I got them. And it was terrible, man. And so from my first time of having sex, I actually had to bring up, when I got a new partner, which was years down the road, the different stuff that I had gotten. All right. And here's the thing is that I remember, God, dude, I was like, this was when I was 18, but I remember I was 19 and I was friends with this guy, and he was 37 at the time. So he was like my age. I'm 39 now, but he was giving advice to me, and he was like, man, I don't care about any, I just care about like hepatitis or some hardcore hepatitis or HIV. That's it. Other than that, whatever, man. Penicillin cures it, or they got something which represses it and whatever. And so throughout my life, I heard people then talk shit about these things. All right. So for instance, I'd be out with my buddies, or I'd be out with some, girls or guys or whatever. And they'd be like, oh my God, I can't talk to him. I'd never fuck that guy. He has herpes. I'd never fuck that guy. I heard he had warts or something like that or whatever. And I'd just be like, oh man, Jesus Christ. Because of my first sexual interaction, I got herpes, right? Or my first partner. And so there was just such a fear. So finally, years and years later, 3 years later, when I finally get a girlfriend, I tell her, right? I tell her. And she was like, wow. First off, it was way early on in the relationship. She goes, why'd you tell me? Because we weren't even having sex yet. And she was just so put back at the honesty and was, I guess, impressed by it or whatever. And that's probably the wrong word, but basically we had sex very quick. And it kind of jumped to sex right after that. And at the time, I didn't really know because I was so young and so inexperienced. So years later, when I get another partner, I tell her right away. This girl had some hardcore religious stuff holding her back from ever having sex. And she was actually a virgin. And I told her, and she was, again, why are you telling me? Like, this is so early on. We hadn't even kissed or anything like that. And within a week, we're having sex. And so as time went on, a lot of you guys might be thinking this sounds like a technique to do, but as time went on, and I really got to know women and talk to them about it, what I'd hear is like, man, you're so honest. I can't believe it. Or why are you telling me this so early? But most people don't have that. They don't value relationships in that way. And it almost worked as a sign of merit. And it should be a sign of merit. And the other thing too is when I notice now, I just don't care if people are talking shit about some STD or whatever. And they're like, oh my God, this guy has like genital warts or he has HIV or whatever. And I know a lot of people, especially being in the drug recovery world as well, there's a ton of people I know who have Hep C and HIV, ton of people, and they're sexually active people. And think about this, man. Those are some like really intense diseases. Although now, I mean, now you can cure if you have like $100,000, you can cure Hep C, but there's ways to manage it a little bit better. But I mean, that's a pretty taxing disease that a lot of people have fear and more connotations about than just your average, gonorrhea or whatever. And then same with HIV, but HIV, they can be managed in a lot of ways. And I don't ever want to say it's easy because I worked at an AIDS, or I volunteered at an AIDS foundation, and I saw people move from HIV to AIDS, and that is some brutal, brutal stuff. But anyway, that all being said, I know people that are sexually active that have these issues. And the thing is you can't be afraid to be yourself. You can't be afraid to bring stuff up. And whenever somebody's making fun of that shit, whatever disease or thing that you're afraid of, if I'm in that situation and they're making fun of something that I've had, I say, oh man, I've had that. I've had chlamydia. Oh, it's crazy, man. I guess the antibiotic they have for men is different than women, and you just have to take one, and it's insane, man. It made me sick, but it cleared it up right away. And it's funny because I couldn't keep hanging out with the girl we couldn't have sex for a week because she had to go through her cycle of antibiotics that took a little bit longer. In any case, it's one of those things that as soon as you bring it up, people stop talking shit. People then make excuses of why they're coming up with this judgment. And man, I've slept with a lot of women and I've brought it up to a lot of women. And man, I would actually say that it has never held anybody back from having sex with me. Now, if you ask them now or before we're entertaining any sort of sexual relationship, man, maybe they'd say no, but I just know from when I'm one-on-one in front of them, being myself, putting myself out there and allowing them to see it, it's a very, very different discussion. So it's a topic that gets brought up a lot. In fact, there was a guy who was on our boards that we went through this kind of talk, and he went on a date with a girl, and it was like such a sure thing that they were going to bone. And he's like, well, I could not bring it up, but I am going to bring it up. I could not bring it up and wear a condom. And we had just all given him this advice that he could bring it up, and he went and brought it up, and it still worked out for him. So that's good. It's a big fear in a lot of people. And of course, a lot of people have STDs. They're things that people catch very easily, but if you're careful about them, you can prevent them. And that also communication comes into play with that. That is a very, very important thing. But it's so weird because so many people have had chlamydia or gonorrhea or herpes or something like that, or warts. And yet, if you are careful about them, they're very easy to not pass on to somebody if you do the right things. That all being said, if this is a topic that you like, and it's a very important topic that, man, we got to talk about, especially if we're talking about sex. And even we got to talk about that other side of things, that when I do bring it up, in some ways it works out in the favorability of, actually having sex quicker. Like, why aren't we talking about these things? If you like that, sign up on the free stuff link down below. You'll get linked into a bunch of free stuff. You'll also get linked into where our free board is. And you can find out about if you did want to pay for our memberships. There's actually a $20 membership, the starter membership, where you can get on one call a week with us that goes on all day. So it's like 15 hours worth of calls. I'm on for the first 2 hours of that. There's coaches from all around the world that come on that and work with you. It is badass. You get involved with the Dialogue of Man. But if you want to step it up, there's also the Men's Development Excellence course, which is fucking amazing. And those guys are a badass group of people. So if that's what you're looking for, or if you're not sure, click the free stuff link down below. Check out the free groups that we have, the free stuff that we have if you want to step it up. There's plenty here for you. All right. Thank you so much for listening. You guys have a great